When his work burst on the scene, it was so different that it just went viral.
Germany, 1941. Wolfgang Weingart was born into a world that was about to be rebuilt. Growing up in a post-war Europe, this sense of reconstruction not only shaped the architecture and cities around him, but also the visual communication of the time as well. Weingart didn't immediately set out to become a groundbreaking designer. In fact, his path into design was very technically oriented and hands-on. As a teenager, he trained in typesetting and later studied at the Merz Academy, where he developed a strong foundation in traditional typography, learning to work directly with middle type, spacing, and composition. That early experience gave him a deep respect for craft and precision, and it's really where his understanding of structure began. From there, his interest in typography led him to Switzerland, where he encountered the International Typographic Style, a movement that emphasized clarity, order, and strict grid systems. In 1964, Weingart enrolled at the Basel School of Design, where he studied under influential figures like Emil Rüder and Armin Hoffmann, who were known for their disciplined approach to typography. Their teaching focused on objectivity, readability, and precision, and at first, Weingart fully embraced those ideas. However, over the course of his studies, he started to feel like something was missing. The work was clean and structured, but it also could feel restrictive at times. Instead of rejecting that system entirely, he began experimenting within it, pushing its limits in subtle but important ways. In his early typographic experiments, you can see him stretching letter forms, disrupting spacing, and layering text in ways that challenge the grid without completely abandoning it. In some of his work, typography fragments across the page, while in others, it builds dense layers through repeated printing and photographic manipulation. What makes this especially interesting is that all of it was done without digital tools. Weingart worked extensively with physical type, film, and offset printing, often reworking compositions multiple times to create texture and depth. That hands-on, experimental process is part of what gives his work so much energy. As his style developed beyond his studies, Weingart was requested back to the Basel School of Design, where he was an influential typography teacher from 1968 to 2005. His approach to teaching was very different from the strict structure he had originally grown up with. Instead of asking students to simply follow the rules and principles, he encouraged them to question them, to experiment, and to explore what typography could become. His classroom functioned more like a workshop or a lab, where trial and error were components of the design process.
I think that's the whole secret of teaching, that you transform your knowledge into a simple way, understandable way to the audience.
Beyond Basel, he also taught internationally, where he spread his ideas to a much broader audience, including instruction at Yale University and numerous lectures around the world. Through both his teaching and his work, he played a major role in the development of new wave typography, which influenced designers far beyond Switzerland. In 2000, his book, Wolfgang Weingart, My Way to Typography, was published. The retrospective compilation documents decades of his experiments, process work, and finished pieces, giving insight into how his ideas evolved over time. He was also recognized internationally for his contributions, including being inducted into the Alliance Graphique Internationale, an honor reserved for some of the most influential designers in the world. Personally, what draws me to Weingart's work is the way he balances structure with experimentation. One example that really stands out to me is his work incorporating mountain imagery, especially compositions inspired by forms like the Matterhorn. In these pieces, you can clearly see his background in Swiss design through the underlying structure, but the typography begins to interact with the image in a much more expressive way. The layering, spacing, and texture make it feel like the type is a part of the landscape instead of something bland placed on top of it. That idea really connects to me, especially as someone working with video and visual design, because I'm constantly trying to find the balance between something that feels clean and controlled and something that feels more creative and experimental. Looking at Weingart's process, you can tell that those results weren't just dumb luck. they came from a deep understanding of the rules he was working with and a willingness to push beyond them. I believe that that's what makes his work resonate with me so much. It's not just about breaking the rules for the sake of it, it's about knowing them well enough to change them in a meaningful way. The biggest sentiment I take away from Wolfgang is that good design isn't just about following a set system perfectly. It's about knowing when to step outside of it and make something your own.